Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my continued riff on producer William Conrad and my obsession with a certain film of his. So, where was I? Oh, yes. An American Dream. A film adapted and based on Norman Mailer's serialized novel of the same name. Now, please feel free to backpedal through a vlog or two of mine for more background on both Mr. Conrad and my sudden obsession for his thickly sliced wedge of putrescent American pie pulp. Both the film and the novel that it's based on begin with a battle royal between a husband and wife, complexly entangled for every detrimental reason imaginable. Now, what's so very interesting at the heart of this melee is the confusion of their sexual role-playing as they partner for a deadly last round in their wedding ring. And when reading Mailer's prose, there's a very evident sense of fear of the country's machismo playing itself out. The mores of American culture is changing rapidly as sexual freedom is already beginning to threaten the country's Puritan foundation. And what you see is not what it seems to be. The man at the center is Stephen Rojak, played by actor Stuart Whitman, and we're about to descend with him into a nightmare reflecting his own shallow and soulless ambitions. Rojak's wife, Deborah, poses a threatening answer to his weakening machismo. He's maybe a bit too comfortable inside of this, his newfound feminine side, his choice to supplicate to her. Deborah herself is trying to reason with some equally strange, newfound vein under her own skin. We've been told that she's something like the second wealthiest woman in the world. She supported her husband's rise to success as a tremendous TV personality. And the masculine toxicity she suddenly wears is turning unpredictably violent. Rojak is far too weak to supply her insatiable demands, and his wimpish willingness to be humiliated strengthens her to emasculate him further. Finally, during an extraordinarily violent fight between them, she takes her boredom to an uncertain and uncontrollable extreme. At this point, she's pumping him full of every bilious truth she can target in his direction, using every humiliation she can muster up. Finally, she struggles to lift a huge stone from the penthouse garden, lunges furiously at him, and hurtles it at his head. Rojak, in a reawakening fit of rage, rushes her and inadvertently forces her onto the wall of the balcony, where she quickly begins to lose her balance. And then there's a precious, desperate moment between them. For only an instant, we see the love that's still there between them. And we feel both sickened and saddened. She struggles for the safety of his hand. He must choose. He pauses too long. She loses her balance and plummets to the street, hits it hard, and is quite graphically run over by a mafioso kingpin's car. And thus begins Rojak's hell-bound spiral. I kept thinking all through my reading the book and watching this film adaptation that Mailer must have been struggling with his own male identity. This underworld he's descending into is minus the promise of any Eurydice. There's nothing, either romantic or heroic, for him to gain during this journey other than the self-realization of his own narcissism and greed. The inhabitants of this underworld are a bit like the motorcyclists in Jean Cocteau's Orphée. Just looking at them, you know that there's a comeuppance awaiting him. You see, the mafia wants to revenge Rojak for the quagmire that's been uncovered due to their Don's car running over the wife he waited too long to save from her deadly fall. And this, my friends, is the first 20 minutes of An American Dream. And just look at the insane threat portrayed by the film's villainous coterie of mafiosa types. They appear to be a stable of sexy black-suited gay men. Without giving too much away, you're not quite sure how to define the lead's demise once he walks inside the room where these men, pistols drawn, are poised and waiting for him with very lascivious looks on their faces. And for Rojak's part, there's a look of surrender panning over his face, as well as what looks like excitement, heralding what's to come. The little death, married to the greatest death of all. We're left in a lonely stairwell. There's no salvation here, only the plaintive and exceptionally beautiful score of Johnny Mandel's, and we're exhausted, particularly due to William Conrad's control of the reins. Unlike so many contemporary films by prominent directors, An American Dream is relentlessly lean in its storytelling, permitting our subconscious to race within its fever dream pace. The film's photography and direction never call attention to themselves. Director Robert Gist, an actor himself, must be given a wealth of credit for his ability to stitch so many colorful extremities so seamlessly together, and to do so with such great restraint. Although Gist had directed several TV shows, as far as I've been able to research anyway, this is his only motion picture. And if I might be permitted to speculate a little, as his relatively short marriage to actress Agnes Moorehead took place during the filming of The Conqueror, that notorious film I referred you to in an earlier vlog, it's quite possible that he and William Conrad, who played Moorehead's son in the film, actually met on that desert bomb site location. Regardless, he and Conrad meld as one, as their flush rises here. Generally, when a fever breaks, there's a quick kind of shock reawakening us to the blessed familiarity of life we've missed for a spell. But in Conrad and Gist's underworld vision, we find ourselves abandoned with little to no oxygen. We've sunk a bit too low now. As I've mentioned previously, William Conrad's body of film work produced in the mid-60s is already rife with exploitation, some lighthearted and some very sober. But with American Dream, the operative adjective is always delirious. The LA smog and the mythic excesses the city represents have inoculated us temporarily with a giddy serum that's proof positive of the power of this kind of trash. Garbage has a transformative purpose in nature, and in a pinch it also acts as a terrific smelling salt. Just take a whiff of what's been at work inside of your compost container. You'll note its power, and how we're all of us, in some way, connected to it. I also want to make note here of A Time for Love, Johnny Mandel's Oscar-nominated song from this film. It lends an impressively melancholic and anchoring tone to the whole enterprise. The song, in my opinion, makes even greater use of a spiraling down melodic line than Mandel's Oscar-winning song The Shadow of Your Smile from Vincent Minnelli's The Sandpiper, which, in itself, is a trash classic, produced in the kind of flashes only MGM Studio is capable of. But I digress. More on the takeaway that An American Dream has inspired Charlene to produce in our next vlog, next time. Until then, be well and stay engaged.